Hello? Anybody here? Hello?
The Resident Evil 2 Remake arrived this past January, and having never played the original, I was excited to get my hands on a more fleshed out and modernized version. I've had a really great time with many other games in the Resident Evil franchise and have always considered them to be extremely solid survival horror experiences. I was quite curious to see how this remake would stack up against them and excited to finally live through this part of the Resident Evil lore. I'm happy to say that for me, Resident Evil 2 Remake does not miss a single mark. Let's talk about why. The game focuses on Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield, the former a rookie cop for the Raccoon City Police Department attending his first day on the job, and the latter a college student searching for her missing cop brother, Chris Redfield. The two happen to cross paths during a citywide outbreak and are advised to take shelter at the police department. Unfortunately, they are separated from each other in the process, but it's for this reason that you can play through the campaign as either character. Their respective stories will play out mainly the same as they'll both travel through the three main areas, being the police station, sewers, and laboratory. There are some differences here and there, such as the weapons they can use and the characters they'll meet. Certain areas that Leon can access are barred off for Claire and vice versa. During Claire's run, there is a sequence that allows you to play as a young girl named Sherry Birkin, and for Leon's run, you get to take brief control of Agent Ada Wong. These segments allow for a lovely change of pace in the middle of the story, as the gameplay is drastically different from the regular formula that you'll be used to up to that point. As Sherry, you'll be tasked with stealthing around in order to escape the clutches of Police Chief Irons, and as Ada Wong, you'll be searching for wires with infrared technology in order to pursue Annette Birkin. The differences between each run are enough to make them feel unique on their own, but I was thrown off at just how similar they were, considering I initially thought these stories ran parallel to each other. My worries were eased, however, when I found out about the second run feature, which will fill in the story gaps for each character. You'll get to see what happens to Leon during Claire's run and Claire during Leon's run. They'll both start off at a different time in the story and a different area in the police station. There's less ammo available, certain doors will already be open, and it feels a bit more challenging. It's clear to see that there is a lot of game here, with so many different runs available, and on top of that, there are even difficulty selections to customize how you want to play even more. You'll constantly be traveling through dimly lit corridors and facing off against the undead. These guys require a lot of firepower to take down this time, and they really like to dance, which makes accuracy a bit of an issue. Ammo, however, is scarce, so the player is left with the important choice of conserving bullets or going all out. You'll have sub-weapons like knives and grenades at your disposal, and as you go further, you can find even stronger main weapons. Having sub-weapons in your inventory is often pretty important, as they can be the difference between life and death when a zombie grabs hold of you. Herbs return as the main healing consumable and can be combined to bring out different medicinal properties. The map will slowly open up as you work to solve puzzles and find key items in order to progress. In this sense, the game almost works like a Metroidvania, as you'll always be exploring, finding blocked paths, exploring more, and then coming back to these blocked paths with the ability to surpass them. It's a great feeling taking note of these areas and having that exciting click moment when you realize you've found the item that will allow you to explore further. The map is extremely convenient, as it will mark items that you couldn't pick up and highlight areas that haven't been explored in red. This helps tremendously with the amount of backtracking that needs to be done and will narrow down your exploration efforts. The puzzle solving felt clever and provided me with just the right amount of challenge. You will be made responsible for examining and combining key items in order to move forward, and it's crucial to always be checking your surroundings, because a lot of the time, answers will be hidden in plain sight. Resource management is super important as well, as the game gives you limited inventory slots for your items. You'll always be thinking about which items are the most optimal to bring with you. What should I leave behind? How many healing consumables should I bring? Will I be able to make use of this key item where I'm going next? It's questions like these that I was constantly asking myself in order to make the most out of my inventory. The combining of herbs and gunpowder to make medicine and bullets is absolutely paramount, as it clears a big chunk of space. Even with all this in mind, sometimes you'll make it to an area with not enough space to grab an important item. At this point, you can A, get rid of something, which is not advisable because most items are important in Resident Evil, or B, trudge all the way back to the closest storage container to make room. It doesn't really matter what you decide to do, but it forces the player to think critically, and in the event that you do walk back to a storage container, you'll be on edge as the game's enemies are completely unpredictable, often still reanimating once you've shot them a million times. Thankfully, as you progress, you'll earn storage pouches, which can expand the room of your inventory, making it easier to explore larger areas and carry more items. There's always been something euphoric to me about organizing inventory in the Resident Evil games. Taking a quick aside from all the terror to rearrange items and combine some stuff can really help you calm down. I like to call this stress organizing. Yeah, the game excels at making you stressed out, but that's a great thing considering it wouldn't be a horror game without some tension, and the game uses many clever ideas to bring those tension levels right up to 10. Just when you think you understand your surroundings, TOO is introduced, otherwise known as the Tyrant or Mr. X, or in my case, Mr. Nope. He's an invincible tyrant who will always be on the prowl, and when he finds you, it's a mad pursuit until you lose him. This can throw a major wrench in your plans if you're trying to solve a puzzle or make your way through an area and he shows up. You'll have to run away and come back to whatever you were doing later. You can also hear him whenever he's close by, which is horrifying but fantastic use of sound design. And the execution of the sound design in general is so well done. Upon clearing a room of the undead, you'll instantly doubt yourself and be filled with internal panic when you hear the faint growl of a zombie, the creaking of the building, or the distant footsteps of Mr. X. Heck, sometimes my own footsteps made me jump. As for the soundtrack, it consists mainly of ambient tunes and droning noises that enforce the thick, heavy atmosphere, but there were certain moments where booming orchestral pieces blew me away, and equally on par with the sound design is the lighting, or lack thereof. This game is dark, and it just adds to the unpredictable nature of exploration, as you'll never really know what may pop up from behind the corner. And speaking of popping up, you'll eventually be introduced to the Lickers. These enemies are blind, but to compensate for that, they have extreme hearing. They can easily pinpoint where you are if you're running, so you have to slow down big time. This is the game forcing you to walk slow through areas where it may not be convenient to do so. Imagine a scenario where you not only have Mr. X after you, but you're venturing through a dimly lit corridor with both zombies and Lickers present. Well, imagine no more, because scenarios like this will happen in Resident Evil 2. And it's this combination of elements that can make the game horrifying. Amidst all the madness though are the save rooms that will act as your home away from home. Finding these rooms will fill you with a deep sense of sanctuary, and it's this atmosphere that reminds me I'm playing a Resident Evil game. The straightforward main story in itself isn't anything special, and the main characters are compelling in their own right, but I could often read them like a book. I mean, sure, it's a classic, but what can we expect from a horror title originally released in 1998? But as you play through finding documents, pictures, and emails, you start filling in the gaps of what happened here and start piecing together elements of the story yourself. This creates a very deep sense of immersion in the world and is where Resident Evil 2's story shines through the most. Resident Evil 2 Remake is an amazing game and an even better remake. The visual updates are massive, like really massive, and from what I understand, it does all this while retaining the classic feel of the original. The controls feel tight, the clever puzzles will make you think outside the box, and the horror aspects kept me on my toes in a way that I haven't quite felt in a while. This game redefines the survival horror genre that it once helped to create, and that's quite the accomplishment. Looking forward, I can only hope that Capcom continues to revitalize the Resident Evil brand, and I would love to see games like Nemesis be remade next. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like or subscribe to the channel as it helps me out a ton. And what did you guys think of Resident Evil 2 Remake? Leave a comment down below as I would love to have a chat with you. And until the next video, you guys have a great one, and we'll see you then. Bye!